So where we left off, we had determined what a true-false statement means as far as the truth table is concerned. We did the same with an if and only if statement, so let's just recap that. There is only one time when an if-then statement is false. When is that? When the first part is true, second part is false, right? And now, for an if and only if statement to be true, we need what? The same value. So either true, true, or false, false. Okay? Any combination of true, false, whether it's true, false, or false, true, are going to be false. So let's look at this larger one. And, following the order of connectives here, it might be useful to put these parentheses in there. Everything before the if and only if kind of gets grouped together. The second part of it afterwards already is grouped together, so we'll just leave that. And now we're going to go ahead and build it. Okay. Again, this is my order. I would like for you to do it the same way, but I can't force you to. All true, and then what I do is take one false and go from right to left. Take one true and go from left to right. I actually like whoever showed me that. That's pretty cool. And then all falses. Okay? So then now you just fill in trues where the F's are. That way you hit every case. Then you hit fill in false where all the other trues are. Okay, now you have every scenario. Okay? All right. So what's one column we need based off of this? Negation P. What else? Good. Now that we have those two, we basically just need each part. The first part and the second part, right? So those should go into some columns. The left part will go into one column, and the right part will go into another column. And then now, I'm going to be lazy here, but this statement is the last column, right? Take a minute and fill it out on your own. The only part of this that should be new is just getting that final column, combining everything with an if and only if. If you want to take a moment, just check your first two columns. Okay, those are the easier ones, right? You just reverse your P column, you flip all those. Q column, flip all those. This is what it should be. Okay. Third column is an if-then. An if-then is false when. First one is true, second one is false. And we're looking at column number 1, so right here, and then the negation of Q, which is right here. So when do we have true false? We have true false in the first row. We have true false in the second row. And I believe those are the only 2 times. So everything else, I don't even have to look at the combination. It's going to be true no matter what. Okay? And now we're combining negation of P or R. So that's these 2 columns. When is an or true? When at least one of them is true. Very good. So yes here, yes for the third one, yes for the fourth one, and the last 3. Everything else should be false. Are we good there? Okay. Very last row, now we're using that new if and only if. What do we look for? 2 trues or 2 falses. And that's just these 2 columns here, right? So that happens second, third, fourth, and last 3 rows. Does that make sense? Everything else is false. Yes?
What's the single arrow again that we did yesterday with the conditional? What does that make true or false again?
True false is false.
So true false is false.
Yes. That's it. Everything else is true. The example we used was, and I'm sorry to say we did not all get A's, but I said, if you all get A's, then I will bring in donuts. The only time that would have been a lie or would have been a false statement was if you got A's, so the first part would have been true, and there's no donuts today. That second part would have been false.
You should have did the false true situation.
You wanted me to do the false true? Just bring them in anyway? Yeah. Sorry.
We worked hard.
You did work hard. Some of you. Okay. Next page. So we didn't talk about these yet. So here they are, officially. A tautology is a compound statement that's always true. So when we get to the very last column, if everything's true, that's what we call a tautology. Okay? A self-contradiction is the exact opposite. So if we were to get all false for the last column, then that's what we say is a self-contradiction. Okay? Example 3. Let's build that one. So here we got so that's one set of parentheses. And then you'd also have a set in here. Okay? So let's go ahead and build that. So we need, obviously, P and Q. The standard true, 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 false, false, true, false, false. Now we just start building it. Okay? We need negations. So we need negation of Q, we need negation of P. And once we have that, we can kind of start splitting it up. So next, if I'm following this order here, I would go Q and not Q. Once I know that, then I can look at that entire right half there. So that would be Q and not Q. So if that, then negation of P, and then the final one. So again, I'm not going to be able to squeeze it in there, so I'll just do this. Okay. I'm going to do this one quickly, and I'll let you guys do the other one. So negation of Q would be false, true, false, true. Negation of P, false, false, true, true. And now here I have Q and not Q. So that would be true, never, right? Because we don't have any that are both true. And now we're combining that column with an if-then, and we're looking at the negation of P, but we're going this way. Right? When is an if-then statement false? So right now, this is all true. And now we have the final one. So the only symbol that we haven't looked at yet is this first if-then. I know I kind of just covered it up, but again, we're looking for that pattern, true, then false. So we're looking at P, which is all the way over here, and then this last column here. So do we see any true falses? So we're getting all true. Okay, so what is this? A tautology. And I guess maybe we should fill this in. If the last column is all F's, you probably already did. I said it, but I didn't write it down. That's a self-contradiction. We need to make a truth table and look at, which column do we look at? The very last one. This is neither. Okay, now we're complete. 2 letters, 4 rows. What else is new? Same as before, right? Here's what you do need to remember right here, this conclusion. Okay? So this is kind of the format that you might see on the exam. You would explain whether you have a tautology or a self-contradiction or neither, and it would look like this. Since the last column is all true, the given compound statement is a tautology. I don't know why they have this there. Okay. Any questions on that? Yes.
So, there's the one like the second to last one.
This one?
Yeah. Since you can tell that the first one isn't true, it automatically is true. Or how did you know it's true?
How did I know that all these were true? Because we're going Q and not Q. That's this column. Then, so if that, then this column right here. And a true false, or I'm sorry, I just gave you the answer, but an if-then statement is only false if we have true for the first half and then false for the second half. And since we didn't have that anywhere, they're all true. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here, these would be given to you, but it should look something like this. Okay, maybe I'll even rewrite it. P and Q and not P or not Q. This is what it should be, okay? So, you can ignore that, it's the same thing, but let's go ahead, you guys take a minute or two and build the truth table by yourselves now. Let's
Thank
see.
you.
Okay, looks like most of you are done. Here's what we should have. So we need negations at some point. And then we do want to look at each half or each part. And then the last column is just putting them together. Now, you don't have to have exactly the same order up here. You just need to have all four of these columns at some point, and obviously your last column needs to be this one. Okay? True, 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 false, false, true, false, false. All right, negation of P is false, false, true, true. Negation of Q is false, true, false, true. P and Q is true for the first case, but that's it. Here we have not P or not Q, so now we're looking at these two columns here. For an or, we just need at least one true, so that happens pretty much all the time except the first case. And now we can combine P and Q, which is this column right here, and the next column right here. And that's being combined with an and statement. And again, an and statement is true only if both are true. So this is false all the way through. So we all get that? Okay, so this is, so we'll say since the last column is all false. Oh, I think I know what they want us to do. The given compound statement is always false. So don't lose sight of the fact that this last column represents the compound statement. And obviously it's a self-contradiction. Okay? Let's turn the page. I will go through this quickly, but this right here, you guys, highlight this. This is a recap of all the things that we've talked about as far as when an and statement is true, when an or statement is true, when an if then is true or false, and then when an if and only if is true or false. So this is a good place to review if you ever need to look them up. Okay? Now, let's see how far we can get here. So here we have, it is not true that being happy and living contentedly are necessary conditions for being wealthy. So we got several things that we got to break down. So H, let's just make that you are happy. L, let's say that is you live contentedly. And W is you are wealthy. Okay, so these are going to be my symbols. Now, if I write the statement in symbolic form, whenever we start a sentence with "it is not true that," what does that mean? So we have a negation sign, and then everything else after that, you kind of just translate, right? Living contentedly are necessary conditions for being wealthy. So here we're going to have being happy, H, and living contentedly, L. And then being wealthy, W. Okay? You guys see how we're setting that up? Okay? So now, let's go straight to part C, because I think we know how to do the truth table at this point. Okay? But here we can determine the value of this sentence, kind of like what we did earlier, by just plugging in the values of each statement. So right here, someone is living contentedly. So would you say L is true or false? L is true. Is wealthy, so that means W is true. But not happy, so that means H is false. So now you plug those values in. So we have negation of, we plug those values into the compound sentence. So H was false, L was true, W was true, and now we use, essentially what we do is use our knowledge of if-thens, ands, and all that stuff and just do it just for this one case. Does that make sense? So if I have an and statement, one is false, one is true, what does that turn into? Very good. If I have if, then, one is false and then true. Careful. That's true. That's the example of you guys didn't get A's, but you still got donuts. I didn't lie to you then if I said that, right? And then now the final answer here is false. Okay?
So is that kind of like
Yeah, so the truth table, the way you would do that is you fill it all out, and then what you do, so if this is your L, W, and H column, you go to the true, true.
I know, me too.
You go to the true, true,
you
false
deserve it.
section,
I deserve it.
and then you just look at the last column and go, oh, well, that's going to be false. Does that make sense?